So good evening, guys. I hope my audio is clear. Everything is fine, right? Uh, so in case any disturbance comes in between, you can just let me know. Okay. So you'll be staying, right? So you can just let me. Yeah. So guys, so if you are facing any doubts regarding while content delivery, you can post it in the chat box. Okay. So if anything is urgent, then Michael will be letting me know, and in the end, we'll take up all your doubts. Okay. Uh, yeah. So so today what we are going to see is that your automotive industry standards and V cycle. Okay. So probably you guys have maybe seen other boot camp sessions where you know the how the design architecture of your EV. Okay. So many of you are from working professional background, right? So you guys already know that some kind of basic knowledge regarding how to design a vehicle, right? So what are the important parameters? Okay. So if you are not knowing also, it is totally fine. Okay. So what we are going to see is that how we are going to make sure that your vehicle which you are going to design is as per the standards which governments or the other country rules are given in the separate rule list, right? So those things we are going to see is at a automotive industry standards. Okay. So V-cycle is something which we'll be covering in the last moment. It's all related topic. Okay. So don't think that what is V-cycle. Every product part has a V-cycle. Okay. So let us go through the content of today's sessions. Okay. So homologation of vehicle is the first thing we are going to see it. Then we will be going through what are the different testing scenarios happening in an electric vehicle. Then which are the standards we need to follow. Okay. So then especially for India, which what are the approvals required to launch an EV in India. Okay. Then the whole validation process for EV. Then the last content will be what is actually a V cycle means for a EV. Okay. So let's move on to the content directly. So homologation is nothing but, okay, let's take that let's take an example is that you are going to make a product. Okay. So if you are going to make a product, the product should be according to the desired response of the customer requirement, right? So customer needs specific requirements for your system, right? If you are going to design any product. Okay. So yeah, I think so many are raising hands. So Mehul, we'll take up all the doubts in the end, right? Or we need to.
Uh, yeah, Alvin. So don't worry about that. So what we will do is, we can cover the entire technical topic first, and those who are having questions, they can drop their questions in the chat box, and we'll take it at the end during Q&A.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. So whatever things we are having it for any product is something which we need to make sure that it's work properly, right? It works according to the requirement from your side. Even if you are buying anything from online, anything you if you are not satisfied, definitely it will be a problem, right? So what is happening is that your safety should be ensured, your reliability should be ensured, everything should be ensured, right? So these kind of process is called as homologation of a vehicle. Okay. So it's like a certifying that your vehicle is roadworthy. Roadworthy means, okay, you can drive that vehicle very safely and you can relay that vehicle, right? So that kind of certifying process is called homologation. Okay. So it refers to the approvals required for the vehicle prior to the marketing and sales. Okay. So what is happening is that once you are launching into the customer part, right? So you need to make sure that all this process is completed. Without completing all this process, you cannot launch anything. Okay. If you launch, it will be illegal kind of thing, right? So governments also having many rules to certify this vehicle. Okay. So this is what every country, okay, every country has their own certification, right? So let's take a simple example. You guys all heard about BS6, right? So BS6 is something, a specific thing which is related to the IC engine. It's mostly related to the pollution part, right? So every company has to ensure that they have to stop till all other BS4 vehicles or any other previous models, and they have to implement this BS6, right? So that is something we need to ensure before you make those things into the marketing part. So this is what the whole process about the homologation. Okay, so there will be few steps for this. Okay, so you cannot whole certify something which is okay. So every level, okay, components level, okay, all system approval level, whole vehicle level, every level we need to have all this certification. Okay, so all of you may know that regarding lamps, you guys have the certain amount of intensity coming out of that lamp, right? So there is a specification. That's why many times police may ask you that, okay, whether you have changed your lamps, whether it is coming out from the company itself, right? Because if it is company product, and if the company is given that lamp, then definitely it's a certified thing. Okay, other than that, if you're going and changing your lights of your vehicle, definitely it's a legal thing, right? So same way, if if the lamp is considered means every component, right? Every electronic subsystems, every audio systems, every braking mechanisms. Okay, so all types of component level testing, it should be done there. Okay, then it should be get certified also. Okay, so this is what the homologation of vehicle means. Okay, so why we need to have this kind of testing? Okay, so that is one thing we need to, right? Why we are going for testing? Okay, let's take a human issue also. So when we are having a health issue, you when you go to the doctor, they tell you to do the blood testing, right? Or any other test. Okay, so why they are preferring that? Okay, they are making sure that your body parts or all the all the things inside your body is working perfectly fine. Okay, it's not having any issues. They need to find out, right? So same way, it's a product, right? If you are taking an EV has many components, right? Many parts will be there. If you take EV architecture, you know that battery is the energy source. Okay, so we are going to replace IC engine with the motor, and your petrol tank will be replaced with the battery. Or everyone knows the basic idea, right? So battery will be there, motor will be there, your drivetrain will be there, then your controller circuit will be there, then your power converter circuit will be there. So all these having a expected outcomes, right? Expected desired response, that okay, this should be working properly. The motor should be delivering the exact torque which is required. Okay, when you are pressing the accelerator, it should give the torque to the wheels, right? Then only your vehicle will be able to move. Okay, according to, so when customer is pressing a accelerator, it should ensure that your motor is delivering a torque from taking the energy from the battery, right? So how to make sure that it will work? Okay, so how to make sure that the customer, he only knows about the brake and accelerator and the steering, right? He does not know about the all the component inside an engine, right? So does not required to know also, right? So when it comes to a customer side, it's very very important to know that uniformity and conformity, right? So any type of thing. Okay, so when I was working in a industry, so there will be a specific requirement from the customer side. Okay, so when I asked, okay, sometimes we may feel that, okay, why we need to test these kind of things. So I asked my manager that, okay, why we need to do this? It's very uh, obviously you know that it will be working, right? So when I was asking that question, so that was my first experience in my job related, right? So he was telling me that whatever customer is telling you, you should follow that. Okay, for a company, it's a customer is kind of a god. Okay, so whatever he ensures to make sure that you are offering them this to happen, then you should make sure that. Okay, because it's their safety. So I was working in aircraft industry, so definitely it is more safety related issues, right? So that way it is making sure your safety, your conformity, your reliability, all in every component level. It's not the whole vehicle. Okay, so whether its body is getting uh not only body, right? It's from the every component level. Even I was talking, right? Every lamps, your mirrors, everything working perfectly fine, and it will not make any kind of safety issues, and it's very low risk thing, and it is very efficiently operability of your vehicle, right? So this kind of things is uh, done only based on your testing results, right? So that is what we need to go for further. Okay, so I was talking about which all components there in the vehicle, right? This is actually a hybrid electric vehicle structure. Okay, so why I said it is hybrid electric vehicle, because it has already an engine, right? You guys already know that, right? Battery also there, your fuel storage also will be there, right? So this is what the whole component level, like battery, you will be having the charger. If battery is there, definitely there will be a charger, right? So there will be charger setup. Then you will be having the fuel tank, your lightweighting materials. Okay, so then your power electronic circuit for the electric motor. Okay, and your engine and your radiator. So this is just an overview of which all component level you will be having it, right? So you can just go, if you are not knowing about the things, you definitely you can go and search on it, right? So definitely you should know basic idea about EV vehicle. Okay, so let's start from the battery. Okay, so now what we are going to see is like every component level we need to go what and all testing is to be done for to ensure this is working perfectly fine. Okay, so let's take battery. So battery is when we are talking about EV, battery is something which is very important, right? Nowadays, our main uh, issue in the EV is also battery, right? So you may heard about many fire accidents happen for the electric vehicles, right? E-scooters, right? So from where it is happening is that your thermal management system, there is thermal runaway can happen in your battery. Okay, so so many things is leading to make these kind of fire accidents, right? So how will you ensure that these things are not going to happen? Okay, that is where you have to ensure your battery testing is done. Okay, so these are four main categories of testing for battery. One thing is aging. Okay, so why this Tata Nexon? I think Tata Nexon is offering you 5 years of warranty for your battery. I am remembering like that. Okay, so I don't know whether when they launched a new one, whether they increased, but MG Hector is giving 8 years of warranty for your battery. Okay, so why they mentioned those things is based on their aging test. Okay, they knows that this battery will give you the performance which is what you expect. Okay, that's what the idea, right? The customer expects some kind of performance in the vehicle, right? So that performance will be there till this 8 years. After that, your battery aging is done. Okay, so there is always a aging for the battery. So they will be doing all kind of test, life cycle test, capacity fade test, okay, calendar test. So what is all is related? Okay, how much is your battery is going to long last? Okay, so that is how they ensure is that they do the aging test. Okay, then performance test. You guys know that. Okay, so battery, whether you give any kind of capacity battery, right? You know, battery pack is made up of adding up cells in parallel and series combinations, right? So when you add these kind of uh, cells in parallel combinations, you will be having a voltage requirement, right? So you'll be voltage will be met, your battery capacity, ampere hour will be met. But whether this battery is able to drive the motor is something which we need to ensure, right? So you need to give the load to the system. That's what dynamic load means. Okay, you need to give continuous load changing, and whether this performance, sometimes you may have to hill climb using your EV, right? So those kind of scenarios are made into some kind of simulation environment. They will be doing all the kind of testing. Okay, performance test will be done. Okay, same way safety is where I was talking, right? So thermal runaway can happen for these kind of scenarios. So they'll be doing many kind of tests, like short circuit test, overcharging. Okay, whether it is having, okay, then cell nail penetration test will be there. Then fire resistance, whether fire is going to get inside these kind of things, right? Okay, so this is something which will be ensuring that the safety of the vehicle also matters, right? Passenger in the vehicle is something which is the your customer, right? So when you are building a battery, then definitely you have to think about that. So safety test will ensure that these things are going to happen. Okay, then one more final test will be mechanical test. You can see that these three is there for cell and battery level testing. Okay, but the mechanical test is happening in the mechanical. mechanical test is happening in the battery pack level. Okay, so I already told you that battery pack is something which is made up of individual cells with a combination of series and parallel combination. I hope electrical engineers, so to so people in the electrical people should know that, right? Parallel and series combination will make you to achieve the desired values of voltage, energy, right? Power. Okay, so whatever things we require. Okay, so these things are matters for individual cells also, battery test, battery pack also, right? So what we are going to make is that all connecting together, and we will be checking for all kind of protection circuit, all kind of BMS which is required for that one. So everything is done. Once it is done, it is having a casing, right? So mechanical construction is coming there, so you will be having a casing and you will be seeing only two outlet like plus and minus because it's DC, right? So as you see in the cell there is a plus and minus, correct? So same way when you make a battery pack, in the end, in the whole construction level is end, you will be seeing only plus and minus. You will not see what are the circuits inside that one. It will be casing, right? So you guys have seen many images of battery packs, how it is. It will be laid under your passenger comforter where your petrol tank was will be filled, right? So those things are done. Then you need to do the mechanical test because you need to ensure that it's a waterproof because there are so many connections going inside that one. You need to make sure that, and it is kept under your passengers, right? So you need to make sure that any kind of contact is not coming out to the chassis, right? If it is coming, then definitely it will be a problem for the customers, right? So then vibration test. If you are keep on having a vibration in your battery pack, whether you are okay, so you'll be having different type of welding kind of things, right? It should not come up. You guys know that, right? So welding. Okay, so those kind of making sure that the vibration is not affecting all your connections, all your screws, anything. Okay, so vibration test, shock test, everything, waterproof test, everything is comes under mechanical test. Okay, so it will be done only once battery pack is done. Okay, now the next part, this is very important, right? So motor is something which is the important part for the EV. Okay, so this is where you are getting the conversion, right? So your electric energy from the battery is converted to the mechanical energy required for the wheels is done by motor. Okay, so you need to know that this motor is working without any kind of unnecessary failure. Okay, so that's what every computer supported equipment will monitor these kind of changes in your vehicle. Okay, no, not vehicle, I mean motor. Okay, so this testing is that your main objective is to make sure that your motor is having any kind of hidden problems. Okay, so you guys know that when we are learning in the college, right? BTech. Okay, so we had done many kind of characteristics for your motor, right? So any type of motor, we learned many characteristics, right? So why we need to learn those characteristics is that that is where your motor works perfectly fine. Okay, whether it is giving the exact results which you are expecting. If you are increasing your armature current or your setter current, if it is giving the exact torque which is required at the end, I mean your shaft is getting that power, then definitely you can do that, right? So there you have go make sure that you may have seen that your short circuit current test will be there, open circuit current test will be there. So many tests you have learned it, right? So that is to make sure that your motor is working perfectly fine. So this may know for the electrical people. So these people has done the laboratory experiment for the motor testing, right? So motor testing will be consist of this kind of things. Okay, impulse testing. What is happening behind impulse testing is something which we need to know, right? What is impulse? Okay, so impulse function is a standard test signal in every domain of the system, right? Why impulse test is having that much impact? Because impulse means what? It's giving a very high magnitude of force or anything. Okay, if it is voltage or anything in a short period of time, it's in very short span of time. Okay, so that's why impulse, right? In impulse function, if you see that it will be going to infinity in the zeroth time itself, right? So that's what impulse testing. So it will be ensuring that, okay, you guys know, well, at starting time your motor current will be very high, right? So why we need to provide a starter because it's happening in the motor, right? So it's like a sudden thing is happening once you switch on this, a current is flowing through that one, right? So you need to make sure that, okay, so everything is not making any kind of failures in your motor. Okay. So same way rotation testing. Okay. So your stator and rotor will be there. Your rotor is properly rotating or not. So I told you, right, whether it is providing an enough torque in the shaft. Okay, that is where you need to ensure that kind of things are happening. Okay, then your motor insulation resistance, this is very important, right? In any even in your battery pack also, we cannot have a short circuit inside our component, right? So insulation is something which is very important in electrical domain. Okay, so we need to make sure that it's not making any kind of contact with any other windings, right? So in you know that there will be windings will be in your motor, right? So definitely you need to make sure that your insulation resistance is proper. Okay, so you'll be having a DC voltage step. It's step voltage means what? Okay, so step by step you need to ensure that you make the voltage increase in some certain amount of stages. So it will be going like a step. Okay, so that makes sure that, okay, sometimes you will be going in some speed, then you'll be giving more acceleration and you will be picking that pedal, right? So that keeping pedal is something you are making, that is a constant value. Okay, so different varieties of forces you may apply, I mean voltages you may apply to the voltage, I mean motor. Okay, so that kind of surge is something you guys know the name itself, it's gauge, right? It's kind of, you guys heard about surge currents in the motors, right? No, when we say about load changes, the make sure it is very important to know that load changes means it's going to affect your motor current, right? So this kind of scenarios, suddenly if the load is increasing, okay, so that kind of things also comes under surge. Okay, then dynamic motor testing, it will be done with the different certain inputs, and it will be keep on. Dynamic means what? It's not static, right? It will be having different varieties of inputs to the system. Okay, you will be changing loads to the system. Your shaft is connected with the mechanical things. Okay, you may apply certain loads. Okay, you will keep on change your loading. Okay, so that way you will be doing the test to motor. Okay, so I think in if you guys heard about Industry 4.0, okay, so what is actually, it is internet of things, right? So in that there is one thing now companies are implementing for this kind of motor testing, is that there is a digital twin available for the motor. Okay, so you guys can go and explore those kind of things. Okay, it's something new coming, right? Industry 4.0 is going to come in every industries, right? Because even if it is a little bit costly nowadays, but it's going to come, right? So digital twin is something which is an very important thing in your industry 4.0. So digital thing is something which will help you do these kind of things. Okay, so they will ensure that every kind of possibilities they will try on digital twin, and they will make sure that it is going to happen. Okay, so you can go and explore on that topic. Then coming to the controller part. Okay, so you guys know that we talked about battery, we talked about motor. Okay, so energy source is something, battery is giving energy and your motor is getting the energy and it is converting to the desired manner, right? So but who is going to make sure that these things are going to happen, right? So there will be in between a power converter. So we'll be coming power converters testing also, it will be there. Okay, so power converter is changing the voltage. Okay, DC to DC conversion, whichever is required to have a conversion there. So they will convert into DC to DC, right? So those conversions is based on some commands coming out of controllers, right? So controller is something, it's like a decider for your whole system. Okay, so your controller will have the inputs from the driver end. Okay, so in case of EV, you have acceleration brake from the driver, and controller is going to identify which is has been given accelerator and how much it is given. Okay, how much he is expecting, whether he is expecting a acceleration, whether he is expecting a deceleration. Okay, So according to that, he is going to change your voltages, right? That's what the controller job. Okay. So what we are going to do is that whether this feedback, or we need to take the feedbacks, right? So whether how much speed now it is going. Okay. So if you are pressing accelerator again means your speed is going to increase. Okay. So how, if it is going to decelerate means you need to decrease the speed. But whatever thing is happening, your output should be measured, right? That's what the feedback signals importance is there. Okay. So that is something. If you're taking a output by a sensor, okay, so that sensor will have different noises, right? So sensor is providing some data to the controller, and controller is getting some random data. Okay, if it is not the exact value of your output, definitely it is going to make an impact on your motor, I mean your motor controls, right? So you need to make sure that your malfunction of these kind of things, okay, you're detecting your output, you're giving the feedback signals to the uh, control board, and this controller action is not making properly, then everything is going to affect, right? So it is essential to verify that your controller works perfectly fine. Okay, so if controller is making something, you guys know, when we learned control systems, controllers can make the stable system into unstable positions also, right? So I'm not saying that EV is going to unstable position, but controller, if it is not designed properly, means definitely it is going to make an impact on your whole system. Okay, so make sure that these kind of feedback signals or motor control boards reacts based on everything works perfectly fine, and you need to test it and make sure that it's working perfectly fine. Okay, so that's how the correct response. Okay, so what acceleration is expected, whether the controller is giving the duty ratio according to that, and you are going to increase your voltage, and according to your velocity is going to increase. So again, that feedback is coming to the controller that okay, the speed is increased and the accelerator pedal is no more. So you can just keep the control action in a constant manner. And that kind of things is making sure by controller testing. Okay, there comes the power converter. So I told you that power converter circuits has two parts. Okay, so I told one is from battery to your motor. Okay, that is what DC converter. But your battery needs to be charged, right? Charged, right? So that's where the onboard charger comes. Okay. So the power converter circuit is mainly doing two jobs. One is making sure that your motor is getting the exact requirement. Okay. And other thing is that your battery is charging on through the onboard charger. Okay. So onboard charger is an essential key component. Okay. So you know that your our supply in our home or any kind of things is actually alternative current, right? So AC. Okay, so mostly it is AC. So if you are going to use your AC circuit, then AC to DC conversion should be there. Okay, so that kind of conversions is making sure by your onboard charger. Okay, so I think now DC charging stations also available, then definitely your DC power also need to be converted there, right? So based on your battery capacity, right? So anyway, the idea behind is that the energy power which is required for the motor is to be uh, converted properly. Okay, that's what the power converter means. Okay, power is to be reached in the motor. Okay, so there are few types of test is going to happen, right? So battery management system, already I told, right? Battery management system is something, it's like a whole management of your battery systems, right? So it is going to check all your state of charge, state of health, the protection part, okay, the charging part. So you may guys have heard about cell balancing, okay. So even if you're taking each and every cell in your battery pack, it, even if you're selecting the same chemistry, okay, it will not be exactly same. Okay, it will have some changes. Okay, so that makes the system in a unbalanced state. That time the BMS is going to be done managed this properly well. Okay, so when you're charging your every cell should be charged at up to 100% and not one single cell is left alone with some 90% or 95%. So how this to be done is you can go and check on your battery management system data. Okay. So charging current is something which is coming from the onboard charger, and your BMS will decide on that whether it is properly giving the charge. Okay, whether it is giving at a C rate uh per- which is mentioned in your EV. Okay, so EV battery system. Okay, so there will be C rate, right? So current C rate means current rate. Okay, so current rate to be ensured. So those kind of things are tested over here. So when you're testing this kind of onboard charger, your input side will be AC power source. I already told, right? So your output side of your onboard charger is DC load. So battery is considered as a DC load to the onboard charger. Okay, so they will be varying different input frequencies, voltages. Okay, so different power line disturbances. Okay, if everything is coming also, if your onboard charger works well, okay, like our motor was, we are testing for different scenarios, right? Same way you will be having different frequency level also, your voltage level also, everything needs to be ensured in the onboard charger level. But in case of your DC to DC converter, your both side, okay, DC to DC means your input side also will be DC power source, and output side also will be DC. Okay, so that way your DC-DC converter will be ensure that you can see the testing of DC-DC converter requires DC input and DC output, definitely, right? So because its output and input will be DC, but you need to make sure that your voltage level and those kind of things, it's giving the desired values. Okay, that's what the testing from the DC-DC values. Okay, then the one thing we need to make sure that traction inverter. Okay, so traction inverter is something which what is actually traction means, you guys you can just give a command. I think we are continuously going on talking, right? So you can just give me a few idea on that. You can just type in the chat box what is actually traction. I think most of you are electrical, but still I think automotive people are also there, right? Yeah, I think forget it. Yeah, so traction inverter is something, okay, your tractive power is something which we expect in the wheels, right? Okay, so tractive power is something which we expect. So who is going to give this tractive power? It is given by the electric motor. Okay, so it's not always we are going for DC motor, right? So you'll be having AC motors also, right? So those kind of scenarios, sometimes your motor will work as a generator while regenerative braking, right? So at those times your traction inverter, whether it is working properly, so it's like your power is flowing from both sides, right? It's like a bi-directional power flow. That time your inverter is working perfectly fine, because when it is working as a motor, it should be giving from battery to motor. Okay, when it is working as a generator while braking, that's what regenerative braking. Okay, so whether this power is given back to the battery. Okay, so motor to battery, the flow should be ensured by the power converter circuit. That is what the traction inverter's job. Okay, so this kind of things we need to ensure that it is going to work perfectly fine. So it's you can, induction motors will be used, your BLDC motors can be used. So based on your motor, your power converter circuits may vary. That's why when it is coming to the traction inverter, definitely you need to have those kind of things. Okay, so that is something which is regarding traction inverter. So these are some key traction inverter test is going to happen. Okay, power line analysis test, torque and speed regulation test. Okay, motor static and dynamic. Okay, so this is some scenarios where you need to ensure that your traction inverters works accordingly. Okay, so first thing is motoring and regenerative braking. That is the main thing we need to uh, make sure that it's happening. Okay, the other things are different, depends on the load parameter variant. Okay, now what we need to go is that, okay, we have done like almost everything, like almost every components we have covered. So but the whole electric vehicle is going to make sure that everything, all components, okay, all components is going to work perfectly fine. Okay, so the whole electric vehicle testing covers with your okay, so they will be make sure are, so those things, right? I already told, now DC charging stations are coming out, right? So whether charging stations, okay, is okay with your electric vehicle. Okay, so then we need to make sure that your communication is happening. Okay, so we guys heard about many communication protocols, right? So we need to ensure that these kind of charging stations, okay, it's communicating with each other very perfectly fine, because we need to ensure that we are not going to, it's like for petrol vehicle you are going to pour diesel, right? It's not kind of, so you need to ensure the communication is happening properly with this, right? Then your plugs, your wires, everything. Okay, so you guys all know, you may have heard about wiring harness, right? It's very important topic nowadays. Okay, so wiring harness is something is related to your cables and connectors. Okay, so your switches, everything. Okay, this kind of component level testing also will be done in the electric vehicle. Okay, so this is where your testing part will be done. Okay. So now what we are going to see is that, okay, for testing these kind of things, okay, there will be some certain amount of standards, right? So now globally, if you check on EV, okay, you will be having ISO, IEC, SAE. Okay, these people are giving certain testing and validation process for your EVs. Okay, this is globally accepted, not for the India purpose. Okay, India purpose we'll see in the next slide. So this is the whole globally accepted. Why we need to have different country level standards is because of every country is having different weather condition. Let's take a simple example. Okay, weather. Okay, so if you guys know about something about lithium ion batteries, okay, it's safe operating area for the temperature limits is from 25 to 40. Okay, so if you are taking Canada, let's say Canada will not have this much temperature, right? Definitely it will be having a different phenomenon. So at that time, your thermal management system will be varying, right? So same if you're taking India, in South India, you'll be having different weather. In the North India, you'll be having different weather. So based on that, you need to change the few things. Okay, it's not like you are going to change whole standardization process. Not, it's not like that. Okay, so there will be certain standards which to be followed globally, but extra things sometimes you know you may have to cover something like, okay, let's say that in EV in India, mostly we import motors out from outside. Okay, so we'll be importing motors from the outside country, right? But that motor is maybe designed for that countries. Okay, so what we need to ensure that that motor is going to work perfectly fine in Indian environment. Okay, so our roads are bit different for from their end, right? So those kind of things will be added on in your Indian standards. Okay, so these are some globally accepted ISO, IEC, USABC. Okay, so it's USA, and the other thing is United Nations will have something. Then Society of Automotive Industry. All those who works in automotive industry, they may know that. Okay, so this is something which comes to in Indian terms. Okay, so Automotive Research Association of India is deciding what's to be done in India. Okay, that's what affiliated to the Ministry of Heavy Industries in the government of India. So it's established in 1966. Okay, so you guys know that EV has a good reach nowadays, right? But this battery, okay, whatever batteries we talk, whatever chemistry we talk, it's an older thing, right? So whatever thing is happening, whatever new things is they are trying to implement, they'll keep on adding up your new things, right? So even if it is established in 96, doesn't mean that the rules are written in on 96. No, it's not like that, right? So every time they will revise it. Okay, because your technology is coming, keep on changing, right? So in the automotive industry in India, this ARAI is the one who is going to standardize everything. Okay, so there will be different rules related to your motor vehicle reports one. Okay, so already I explained one simple model, right? BS6. Okay, it's regarding air pollution. Okay, So that kind of efficiency, okay, efficient, reliable vehicle. Already we spoke that kind of terms in too many times, right? Testing. Okay. So there are few important standards we will be ensuring. Okay, here. Okay, there will be more standards, but very important ones I am going to cover in this one. Okay. So AS is automotive industry standards, right? So it is 038. It's mentioned in ARAI. Okay, so it is a rule under ARAI, and it's regarding your construction and functional safety requirement. Okay, so you guys know about electrical powertrain, right? So what is actually powertrain means? It's it's the combination of your power source with the drivetrain. Okay, drivetrain is your mechanical part, your wheels, your transmission. Okay, axle. Okay, those kind of things is coming under drivetrain. So if the drivetrain is connected with a power source, okay, in our case it's a motor, right? So that power train, whether this is under coming under a specific requirement, okay, that is ensure that kind of standards is mentioned in AIS 038. Okay, so you can just note down that the construction and functional safety requirements regarding this powertrain vehicle, electrical powertrain vehicle, is mentioned in AIS 038. Okay, in 39, you guys know your electrical energy is battery, right? So it is provided by battery. So how the consumption is happening? Okay, so regarding those things, okay, so how much range, all those phenomena regarding electric powertrain vehicles is mentioned in 39. Okay, so this is regarding your powertrain part, this is regarding your energy consumption part. Then 040 is regarding totally regarding your range. Okay, so measuring range, how will you find out the range? Okay, whether I think let's take an example for Nexon is giving I think 300, around 300, right? So so those things, whether they have simply given the data, no, it's not like that, right? So they tested and validated that if the battery you worked at its peak load, it will be giving certain amount of kilometers like this. Okay, so first they will be simulating it, and then they will be doing the hardware part, and then hardware in loop will be done. Okay, so making sure that your range is properly managed. So this regarding the range, AS40 is going to give you the standards. Okay, so 41 is going to give the maximum power. Okay, so your net power and your maximum 30 minutes power. What is that 30 minutes power means? If you're continuously giving the, it's thing that it's not always your urban drive or your city drive, right? So that time when it is a peak values, okay, so maximum 30 minutes power means you're giving everything in a maximum level. Okay, so that kind of power, whether those kind of testing is done, should be based on this AI41. Okay, so that kind of way the AI41 will be giving. Then very important thing is that you are going to make sure that your CMVR approval for electrical powertrain vehicle. Okay, so it's like a gradability of your electric vehicles. Okay, so how will you grade your, you will be having different grades, right? Okay, so that kind of things will be coming under AA4 AS49. Okay, now approval required for EVs in India. Okay, so what and all approvals we need to have? Okay, already I spoke vehicle level, whole vehicle level we need to cover, right? So as CMA, so Central Motor Vehicle Rules, this is under your ARA, right? It's 250 watts. Okay, 30 minutes power of maximum speed of 25 km power. Okay, so this is something the falling specification, right? So this should be there under every EVs which we are going to launch in India. Okay, then such vehicle need to follow these things. Okay, so white reflectors on the front side. Okay, red reflector on the rear side. Okay, so why we need to have these things? Because they need to ensure that this is coming under this specification. Okay, so then only they will be approving these kind of things, right? Otherwise your motor vehicle department can file a case against you, right? Because it's not done. So that time you may ask your companies, right? Even let's take a simple example of your number plate. Okay, so there also there is a certain amount of rules to be specified, right? So same way if your vehicle specification itself have a certain amount of things, right? So then these kind of things to be followed. Your brakes, everything needs to be make sure that it's coming properly fine. Okay. Then government regulation framework for emission. Okay, so AS standards in India, that's already discussed. Okay, so if it is hybrid vehicle related, then you have to go to the AS 102. Okay, we were discussing AS 04, I think 038 to 041, then 049 also. It is regarding electric vehicle. But AS 102 part 1 and part 2 is regarding hybrid electric vehicle. Okay, you guys already mostly nowadays every vehicle is implement using hybrid electric vehicle, right? At least mild hybrid, micro hybrid. So those things are coming, right? So you need to make sure that these things are okay. So this is some regulations are rolled out by SAE and AS. Okay, so these things you can just note down. For electric, United Nations is giving this regulation 100 and this 85. Okay, so it's all regarding electric vehicles. Okay, you can just
Alvin,
make sure
your voice is
you
breaking a
can,
bit.
yeah, yeah. Now it is okay, right?
Little bit like from past 1 to 2 minutes, it is breaking a lot.
Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, let me check my network. Okay.
Sure, sure.
Hi, Mehul. Is it okay now?
Yeah, please, you start, delivering. If it is, if there is any glitch, I'll keep you
Okay, okay,
posted.
fine, fine. Yeah, sure. Okay. So this is something which we required. Okay, so you can note down these numbers and just go on elaborately search on this. Okay, this is regarding EVs. Okay, so 38 to 41, then 49 and 48. Okay, so traction batteries, safety requirements. This also you can just make a note of it. Okay, and this is something which you can know about the old vehicle. So we already talked that your hybrid electric vehicle is coming, right? So your internal combustion engine with an electrical kit has to follow these things. Okay. So just, I think again my network is having issues. Is it having any issues? Just okay, fine. So I think so this is regarding your hybrid electric vehicle. I already informed you, right? So this thing you can make sure that it is working perfectly. Okay. So this is something regarding your charging infrastructure. Okay. So what and all is required to be there. Okay. So if you are adding up a battery thing, you can just make sure that these kind of standards is to be followed. Okay. So okay. Now, so all the standards we know, all the testing procedures we know. Okay. Now, how will you validate based on these kind of testing is kind of a certain amount of 6 levels. Okay. So there will be virtual validation. That means your simulation environment and your real-time validation also will be there. Okay. Now, this is 6 level validations. One thing you will be starting with the element level. Okay. So we will be starting with if you're taking battery, I told you that battery is connected with different cells, right? So you'll be having cell level testing and your battery pack level testing. So module, okay, module is something how the battery pack is made is based on cells will be connected into modules, and these modules will be connected together to make the battery pack. So this will be having element level testing. Okay. Then your component level validation is something which is happening on each component. So already we discussed, right? Motor, battery, okay, your controller, your power converter circuit, your BMS. Okay. So each component level you will be having a validation on that. Okay. Then your subsystem level. Okay. So we'll be taking motor as a subsystem. Okay, that way we'll be discussing like you are having your traction inverter system, okay, your power converter system, then the controller part, the sensor part to the system. Okay, all those part will be done in a validated by subsystem level validation. Okay, so rechargeable energy storage system, that's what RESS. Okay, that means your battery subsystems. Okay, so they'll make sure. So once you've done the component level also, you'll be integrating it. Okay, that part is coming as a development process, right? Once you've done the element level, then you make the component level. Then you make the component level and integrate it, make the subsystems. Okay, once the subsystem is done, then validate it. Okay, each and every step you do it, you validate it. Okay, make sure that it's properly giving the desired response. Okay, then the whole powertrain. Already I explained, right, what is actually powertrain. It's not a whole vehicle part. Okay, powertrain validation means it's your drivetrain and your power source is connected and they will be giving. Then your vehicle level, that's what the test bench level. Okay, so once everything is done and your vehicle body, all the things is done, then it will be going in a lab level testing. Okay, where you'll measure everything. Okay, as a whole vehicle, we will test everything. Everything should be accurate and the report is coming from this lab level. Okay, that this vehicle is validated. This lab level test report is very important to know that your vehicle is having no other safety issues, its work efficiently and reliable manner. Okay, those will be done in a lab level validation. Then it will be going to the on-road validation. Okay, so on-road validation, you guys know, you will be simulating all kind of scenarios. So I don't know whether you guys have seen videos in YouTube regarding this kind of testing levels. Okay, so you'll be having different drive cycles, right? I hope you guys all know that drive cycles are. So these drive cycles are, we are not going to drive the vehicle in a road. Okay, it's not like a road test we are done for license. Okay, so they'll be creating these kind of road scenarios to make sure that your uh, the system is working very perfectly fine. Okay, yeah, that is something, the levels of validation of EV. Okay, it will be done both virtually and your real time validation. Okay, in this test bench level, everything will be real time monitoring. Okay, and you will be checking. Okay, so in lab level, it will be more calibrated values. Okay, it will be more accurate. Okay, then it will be happening in that. Okay, now what we are going to see is whatever things I have talked, right? So that we can just go and see. So motor level, okay, software side also we'll be checking, right? All your, you guys know your controller part is mostly software based, right? So those times, those systems, okay, subsystem level, we'll be checking all control softwares also. Okay, maybe I missed out that point. Okay, so that kind of things. Okay, now when we talk about industry 4.0 which is coming, okay, so every data will be visible in for everyone. Okay, everyone in the company. Okay, every component level things they can visualize. Even CEO can those kind of things because it's all connected via internet, right? So you guys can go and explore on those areas also. Okay, so vehicle level validation, that's what the on-road validation is, something which is final. Okay, now the last part, we are coming into the last part. Uh, this troubleshooting is something which will be coming. Okay, so once something happens to the vehicle, okay, so when you're testing also it can happen, right? So how will you identify it is going to happen? Okay, so there are certain scenarios we need to make sure that these kind of things are making that this is not working perfectly fine, right? So the first condition, let's say that vehicle does not run or suddenly it stops. Okay, so these are the possible reasons for this. Okay, for electric vehicle to happen this kind of scenario. It's not running also, it suddenly stops. Okay, so under charged battery or old battery. Okay, it's that your energy is not sufficient to run this vehicle. Okay, that can be one reason. Then charger is not working because you thought uh, that it's charged well, but it was not working perfectly fine. That is where your battery is not getting charged, right? Then your fuse. Okay, so that part, it's regarding your protection circuits. Okay, so if the fuse is gone, then definitely you need to make sure that it's checked. Okay, so then loose wire. Okay, these are some electrical techniques you need to know, right? Loose wire will be there. Okay, so electrical switch can be damaged by, okay. Then the finally you can check on defective motor also, right? Motor may have issues, right? Then one thing is short run time, because it's not running as you expected, means your battery has the issue. Okay, so you need to make sure that your battery is uh, maintained properly. Okay, so that is one other thing. Then vehicle is running slow. Okay, running slow is uh, uh, very often can happen, right? So it can happen like if it is a 5-seater vehicle, if you are loading with 6 or 7 people, definitely vehicle can affect its performance. It's the customer is not able, not identifying the what needs to be done in the air end also. So those areas they need to be make sure that you are doing properly. So when you are doing it in a testing level, we'll be doing every kind of testing, right? So that time if the vehicle is running, okay, they will be checking whether it is overloaded. Okay, so then driving conditions are too severe. Okay, so that is also one thing. Then based, so mostly battery is something which is very important, right? So undercharged battery and old battery. Why old battery? I already spoke in the aging, right? Aging can be may affect your performance of your delivery. Okay, then loud noise. Okay, so you guys know there is no gear, I mean gear systems in our, but gearbox will be there, because there will not be, it's not directly connecting the shaft to the wheels, right? So there is a gearbox in the EV also, so that gearbox can make a noise. Okay, so this is one thing, broken gearbox. Then another one is your defective wheel. These two scenarios are there, because electric vehicle is very silent in action, right? So you guys can maybe seen those things, right? So now coming to the last topic is that V cycle. Okay, so we talked about whole kind of testing, all kind of things, right? So V cycle is something from the start to end. Okay, so I was talking about customer requirements, right? We take the customer requirement, we design that system, right? Then we'll be having a component based designing, right? Then you'll be having implementation in this. Okay, then unit based testing. Okay, so why this suppliers part is given here? Because if you take any companies, okay, they are not producing every component, right? They will be taking battery from one company, they'll be taking power converter circuit from one company, they'll be taking motor from different companies. Okay, but they will be making sure that the suppliers, okay, so they also done these things. Okay, because once you connect whether these things are done. Okay, so Bosch may ask you to test on your controller parts. Okay, so sometimes they may ask you to, okay, these kind of testing validation is done or not. Okay, we need data whether you have done it or not. Okay, so that kind of procedure is termed as V cycle. Okay, so in the end, the system testing till the integration test system testing. So this will be coming like a V cycle. Okay, so we start from requirements to the till your vehicle testing part. It will be considered as a V cycle. Okay, so V cycle, this is like a development process for any automotive industry. Okay, so this will be based on your this is actually the two parts will be there, like verification and validation kind of things. Okay, so OEM, I think almost everyone knows, right? Original equipment manufacturers. Okay, so that is where your company. Okay, that is the company. Okay, let's take Tata. Okay, so Tata is the company who is making Nexon. But in Nexon components, you may have different suppliers. Okay, they will be taking motors from outside. So those kind of things. Okay, so every thing they need to ensure that these things are based on the requirements. That's how you design the system, right? Once you design the system, you will be selecting components for those system. Okay, once you select the components, but once you select the component, your testing should be done properly. Okay, then you need to ensure that the integration is properly done and the testing part is to be done. Okay, you need to validate everything. We already seen the validation part, right? So system testing level also will be coming under that. Okay, so that's what regarding. Okay, I am having a small presentation, right? So it's not like we covered everything regarding automotive standards. Okay, so what told to be followed in the standard procedures, we have come across almost a brief manner. Okay.